I dreamt a dream the other night that an angel appeared to me clothed in white. Oh, it was a beautiful sight, such as filled my heart with delight. And in her hand she held...
There goes Mad McGonagall, Dundee's most famous citizen, peddling his poems in some 19th century Dundee houff, battered with flour, pelted with peas, an international joke.
And in a sweet voice she said...
Even to whisper that McGonagall might have been anything other than risible is to invite the mob's hilarity on ourselves. Yes, he wrote some terrible poetry. Think how much more he could have written had he started writing at 22 and not 52. But there was more to the man, a miserably poor handloom weaver who became actor, pamphleteer and poet, campaigning on the great social issues of the day, such as votes for women and temperance. So let's dig the old man out of his grave, expose him to some honest criticism, and find out if he deserves even a humble place in the literary pantheon. Where better to start than Chapman, a magazine devoted to encouraging Scotland's poetic talent, and its editor, Joy Hendry.
Well, Mr. McGonagall, I'm always delighted to meet a new writer. And I wonder if you would read me your poem, because if I actually hear the words spoken and hear the rhythms of it, I'll be able to give it a much fairer response.
Indeed, ma'am. Address to the Reverend George Gilfillan. Reverend George Gilfillan of Dundee, there is none can you excel. You have boldly rejected the confession of faith and defended your cause right well. The first time I heard him speak 'twas in the Kinnaird Hall, lecturing on the Garibaldi movement, as loud as he could bawl. My blessing on his noble form and on his lofty head, may all good angels guard him while living, and hereafter when he's dead.
Mr. McGonagall, can I ask you what might be a rude question? Did the Reverend George Gilfillan pay you for writing this? Or is it possible that he applied to you for a character reference?
I write because he is a good man, a minister who speaks well of me.
Aha, he speaks well of you, and therefore you pay him back by writing this, shall we say, rather deathful verse.
Could you be more specific?
Yes, absolutely I will. There isn't a single line in which the scansion has not been, if you like, contorted and distorted beyond all, simply to achieve a rhyme. Now, I put it to you, talking of rhythm, just try to say this without it sounding totally ridiculous. May all good angels guard him while living. Now,
You're the expert, you read it.
I just have. And my point is that rhythm simply does not flow.
You talk of rhythm. Why do we have to speak it as a child would speak? If my work is read as a child reads, it sounds like the work of an idiot. Madam, I can smell drink on your breath. Therefore, what is your opinion worth?
My opinion is more elevated after a few glasses of wine, of course.
Read me the last verse.
Certainly. My blessing on his noble form and on his lofty head. May all good angels guard him while living. Now, that was really hard work to make that scan. And hereafter when he's dead. Now, there isn't a single sentiment and a single original idea in this entire poem. I mean, it's worse than
really
doggerel.
had expected more sympathy from a fellow literary figure. This was the first of my many, many works, and I've gone on to write, many, including Bonnie Dundee in 1878, Loch Ness, the disastrous fire at Scarborough, the burial of Mr. Gladstone.
I do not believe, Mr. McGonagall, that all muses are to be preserved for all time. Some muses should be strangled at birth, and yours certainly was one of them. I can see in this, if you like, an anticipation of the programme Star Trek. In fact, boldly rejected the confession of faith.
I have
rejected.
no
This is
idea
just...
what you're talking about, and I don't think you do either. And if I could just quiet you down for a second, that way
Well,
we can
I'll
keep
tell you what,
we
Mr.
can keep
McGonagall,
the whiskey fumes to a minimum.
I will give you another chance. Would you give me...
I shall offer you advice, madam. Touch not the demon drink.
Would you like to read me another poem? It's not wise
Delighted.
to come and insult
As
an
I
editor.
say, I bow to no man but Shakespeare. An address to Shakespeare. Immortal! William Shakespeare, there's none can you excel. You have drawn out your characters remarkably well, which is delightful for to see enacted upon the stage. For instance, the lovesick Romeo, or Othello in a rage...
Stop. You can see that the rhyming is so conventional as not to be true.
I write in praise of the bath.
Can I please turn you not towards Shakespeare, but your feet towards the door. I've got other poets who are waiting to see me and hear my opinion of their verses.
Gladly, madam, I will take my leave.
Please do. Allow me to show you the way.
Good day.
As art poet, it seems McGonagall has little hope. How about McGonagall as folk poet? Let's send him to a gentler critic, Hamish Henderson, grand old man of Scottish letters and student of the Celtic writing traditions.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, Mr. Henderson.
I'm prudent pleased to mark yours, McGonagall.
Fellow man of letters.
Well,
Gowrie born?
Blairgowrie born, no less.
I'm familiar with Gowrie. I lodged there on my well-documented and admired journey to Balmoral in 1878.
I hope you gave my respects to Queen Victoria.
I didn't get that far, unfortunately. I should like to recite an example of my work to you entitled Bonnie Dundee in 1878.
Away you go.
Oh, Bonnie Dundee, I will sing in thy praise a few but true simple lays regarding some of your beauties of the present day. And virtually speaking, there's none.
Golly, now what is this? McGonagall is very like a certain Irish Camallia tradition. It's poetry in the most simple sense. It expresses a lot of feeling. It touches the heart.
It is most handsome to be seen, where accommodation can be had for duke, lord, or queen. And the four
You
pillars.
know, the Irish Camallia tunes, you can see how this beautiful elongated line fits into them. I remember one, for example, that I heard in County Wicklow many, many years ago. It was the Lament for Canon Dun. The Lament for Canon Dun is a true McGonagallian masterpiece. It was written long after McGonagall died. There are fine horses and stall-fed oxes and dens for
Very
foxes.
great honour to the people of
play and
Dundee.
hide.
Then there's the
Strong
Baxter
mares
Park,
for breeding.
most beautiful to see, and a great boon it is to the people of Dundee, for there they can enjoy themselves when they are free from care by inhaling the perfumed air. Oh, bonny Dundee, I must conclude my muse, and to write in praise of thee my pen does not refuse. Your beauties that I have alluded to are most worthy to see, and in conclusion I will call thee Bonnie Dundee.
Bravo!
Your opinion, sir, on my latest writing?
I'm surprised you didn't say your latest masterpiece, for it's a very effective poem.
Mr. Henderson, given that I compose my work under divine inspiration, why is it that I have not been given any respect at all for my work?
Because most folk here dinna ken what you're about. They think poetry is one kind of thing, whereas you are the exponent of poetry, which is another kind of thing. You belong to a tradition better appreciated in Ireland than in Scotland, because there were there many, many poets who specialised over the years in praising the chiefs and landlords in very magniloquent or grandiloquent language, using the sort of tradition which you encounter right enough in many countries, but which the Irish brought to a fine perfection. Now, the only problem with many of their poets naturally was that the landlords ceased to speak Irish, they began to speak English. So the Camallia poets, the poets who were acclaiming them, had to adapt to new manners and new language, and they naturally made their praise poetry in English and not in Irish. McGonagall in Scotland, here you, sir, are the arch exemplar of this tradition carried onto foreign soil. Mr. McGonagall, may I ask of you a great favour? Would you please recite one of the poems that you think is among your best?
The bonny lass o' Dundee. O a' the tunes that I've been in, I dearly love Dundee. It's there the bonny lassie lives, the lass I love to see. Her face is fair, brown is her hair, and dark blue is her ee. And aboon a' the lasses e'er I saw, there's nane like her to me, the bonny brown-haired lassie, o bonny Dundee.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that one, Mr. McGonagall. not least because it's in Scots. After all, I've seen so much of your other work in very stylish English, but surely you've spent most of your life here in Scotland, and I would have thought that even more of your poetry might have been couched in our native language.
I have listened to your comments, sir, on my writing in the Scots language, and much as though I respect you as a writer and orator, I choose to disregard your comments. I write in the Queen's English, and that is the way my career will proceed.
Mr. McGonagall, I am most indebted to you for your explications. I hope you will not consider it out of place if I offer you a dram of excellent malt whisky which I happen to have here on the premises.
An outrage, sir. I am a member of the Blue Ribbon Army, opposed to the demon drink. I therefore cease from drink, and you will likely do well. Then there's not much danger of going to hell. I bid you good day, sir.
Ah, but McGonagall, there's something you forgot. You need your fare back to Dundee. So not for the first time in a long life, be prepared to eat humble pie.
Mr. Henderson. Hamish. I might have been a wee bit hasty there. On second thoughts, you might have been a better writer and a more rounded critic if you were better read. Can I interest you in a broadsheet of my poetry?
Only one single one, Mr. McGonagall? I'll hae a couple.
It's been a bruising experience for McGonagall, first hearing his ambitions for literary greatness demolished, then being transported from the borrowed literary traditions of England to the Ireland his parents abandoned. Time to leave the Edinburgh literati behind and seek some solace from fellow Dundonian writer and performer Lesley Gray.
Come away in, Willie, and take a seat. Take the weight off the feet, and take the weight off your shoulders while you're at it.
Oh, Lesley, it's a sair fecht.
Oh, what's the day?
I've been talking to one Joy Hendry, literary critic, and she's advised me, well, not to put too fine a point on it, to give up.
Joy Hendry. Joy Hendry. Why the hell's Joy Hendry? Some critic sitting in some ivory tower in Edinburgh, eh? What does she ken? Apart from some highfalutin books. We like you. You're a genius. You carry on, son.
But there's more. We've also been to see one Hamish Henderson, and gracious and gentlemanly though he was, he's advised that I give up writing in the Queen's English and resort to writing in Scots.
Look, I'm going to put my cards on the table here, Willie. Now, I dinna ken Hamish Henderson, but I've got to agree with him. Can I say something? English poets should write in English. Scottish poets should write in Scots. And Dundee poets should write in Dundonian. When I read your work, and the Clippy, and the Murraygate, and the Scour and Burn jumpsuit of me, I feel like I'm in your poems. The ane I mind the best was Little Jamie.
Other laddies may hae finer claes and may be better fed, but none of them has sic a bonny curly head, oh sic a blithe blink in their ee, as my ain curly, fair-haired laddie, Little Jamie.
When I gang out to take a walk with him along the Magdalen Green, it makes my heart feel licksome to see him so sharp and keen. And he poos the wee gowans and gies them to me, my ain curly, fair-haired laddie, Little Jamie.
The laddie is handsome and fair to be seen. He has a bonny cheery moo and tall blue een, and he prattles like an auld grandfather recht merrily. Ho! He's the funniest little laddie that I ever did see, my ain curly fair-haired laddie, Little Jamie.
Whene'er that he kens that I'm coming home from my work, he runs out to meet me as cheerful as a lark, and he says, "Feyther, I'm wanting just a bobby." My ain curly fair-haired laddie, Little Jamie. Now that's brilliant. How can anybody think that's rotten?